Author's note: Taharqa used his time well. He held the two lands together, and by the time of the great Assyrian invasion several years after this story, Egypt was strong enough to hold them off at the border. Sennacherib's son, Esarhaddon, died in a second attempt at conquest. 20 years later, near death, Taharqa halted them again outside Thebes and drove them back down the Nile. For the next 30 years under his successors, the deadlock continued, exhausting the strength of the Assyrian Empire and leading to its final collapse. The few records we have for this time often contradict each other. There are no precise dates, and the Assyrian Chronicle says that Ul-Shabaka was king during the siege of Jerusalem. The Bible says it was Tirharka, king of Ethiopia, the second Kings, 19:9, and this book follows the biblical version. The Assyrians also boast of their later destruction of Thebes, but we know that Thebes was thriving and then successfully carrying on the struggle until the dissolution of the Assyrian Empire. Little is recorded of Taharqa beyond the fact that he overcame the pharaoh Shabbataka in a struggle for the crown of the Nile and was the first king of Egypt to fight the Assyrians. There is no information on his maternal parentage. But throughout history, slave soldiers like Mbuta have risen to the highest positions in African and Middle Eastern armies, and their kings, including the sultans of Morocco and Oman, have sometimes been the sons of southern African slave women, as Taharqa is in my story. Shabbataka appears in the king lists before Taharqa, but a later legend suggests a savage bitterness in the contest for the double crown. Shabbataka burned alive, and it is very probable that Taharqa was reclaiming what had been taken from him. Taharqa's generosity, on which I base my character and which contradicts the legend, is suggested by the fact that, unlike most pharaohs, he never erased his rival's name from the lists of kings. The Bible tells the story of the smiting of the Assyrians before the wall of Jerusalem and the sign of the retreating sun in 3 places, in 2 Kings chapter 18 through 21, and also in 2 Chronicles chapter 32 and Isaiah chapter 36. It is not clear from the biblical account what exactly happened to the besieging army, but it is certain a great many soldiers died very suddenly. The Greek historian Herodotus says an army of mice chewed the points off the Assyrian spears. In this book, it is suggested that the disaster may have been caused by a swift-acting form of bubonic plague. Sennacherib, when he wrote the stories of his exploits, boasted that he had shut up the king of Israel like a bird in a cage. He does not claim, however, to have conquered Jerusalem. King Hezekiah was able to withstand the siege partly because of his foresight in digging a tunnel from the spring outside the city into the pool of Siloam. Today, if you visit Jerusalem, you can wade down the same channel that helped save the lives of the Israelites over 2,500 years ago. Hezekiah's Tunnel.